This is the Rad Power Bikes Radster Road. In this comprehensive review, first I'll dive deep into the components, tell you everything you need to know. The RFID tags though I think is really cool. That unlocks the bike. Then we'll get into some first-person riding footage, put some of the new features to the test. 24 miles an hour, very easy, which to be honest is a little bit surprising for a 750 watt peak motor. And finally, some third-person riding footage where I'll give you my concluding thoughts, some pros and cons on the brand new Radster Road. But first, let's take a closer look. I'm Ryan from Ebike Escape, and probably the most interesting thing about the release of the Radster Road, as well as the Radster Trail, which they released at the same time, is that it is a significant departure from what the company has done previously. Yes, of course, unique frame designs, but also for the first time ever, we have Class 3 models. For the first time ever, we have torque sensor models. For the first time, we have color LCD displays with some unique features. And while the battery looks the same, it now sports a larger size. There's also some cool safety features, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But first, let's talk about price. The Radster Road comes in at $19.99, which I personally feel like is a fair price. And after watching this review, or perhaps any of our other Rad Power Bikes reviews, you've decided to pick one of these electric bikes up, we would appreciate your support for free by using our link down in the description. Before you make your purchase, let me get into just why I feel like this $2,000 price point is justified. For the first time, we have two frame options in a Rad Power Bikes model. Size regular on the Radster Road, that equates to riders down to 4'11" up to 5'8", and a large, that's what you see here, and I'll hop on it in a second. For riders 5'7" to 6'4". I wanted to point out though this crossbar here, because this is what differs depending on the regular or large size. So it comes up a little bit higher on the large size, and just how high, it's going to be 24 inches on the size large and down to 22 on the size regular. We're still going to call this a step through even with the top bars. I'm sure they did this to increase the rigidity of the frame. It also adds to the aesthetics, but still a very accessible electric bike. I still need to raise my foot to get over the frame though, but plenty of standover height. And of course, as a 6 foot tall rider, this bike is going to fit me just perfectly. Be sure to stay tuned for the third person riding footage and you'll get an even better idea. And we'll throw up some footage of JT getting on the Radster Trail, which we got in size regular, so you can get an idea of how someone smaller fits on that electric bike. But more or less, the frames are almost identical. The bike is offered in two different colors. This is the Bay Blue, also offered in Lunar White. It has a 320 pound capacity. The bike is IPX6 rated, and the weight of the bike is 74.5 pounds with the battery installed, otherwise 65.5 pounds with the battery removed. And if Rad is a new brand to you, you should know that they are one of the largest sellers of e-bikes in North America, and they also offer a 2-year warranty on their electric bikes. With that, let's dive into all the components. Up front, we have what I deem as pretty much standard equipment on $2,000 e-bikes: Tektro hydraulic disc brakes paired with 180mm rotors. We've got Kenda tires, 29 by 2.2 inches wide, not surprisingly, road tread. They also have reflective sidewalls for increased visibility at night. And the front wheel attaches with a through axle, which makes sure that your wheel is installed properly. It's also more sturdy. Moving on to the fork, we have boost spacing. This is an SR Suntour suspension fork, and it's a hydraulic suspension fork, preload adjustment on the left, lockout on the right. Here's what you can expect out of the front suspension fork. There's aluminum fenders, an extra piece in the front, and an extra long mud flap on the rear of the front fender, and there's extra coverage in the rear as well. There's an auto on 200 lumen headlight that runs off the main battery, and a rear light as well that is brake actuated. And check this out, for the first time we have turn signals, 4-bolt pattern up here in the front for adding Rad Power Bikes optional accessories. They sell some really great products. Highly recommend you check them out if you're considering one of their electric bikes. Great cable management, very clean. and runs beneath the frame here, and there's some mounting points here to remove this, which gives you easy access to the cables, which can't be said for every electric bike. We'll get to these tags in a second, but let's jump into the Cockpit matching Tektro hydraulic disc brake levers, complete with motor cutoffs. As soon as you hit the brakes, it'll cut power to the motor. We have locking ergonomic rubber grips, left and right, a right-hand twist grip throttle, a Shimano 8-speed trigger shifter compared to the overhand thumb shifter that we typically see. They include a bell. We have these really unique handlebars. They're swept-back handlebars. They have a little bit of a BMX style feel to them with this rise here, but that makes this bar flat, which allows you to mount some accessories as well as the Rad Power Bikes display right in the middle. Now, no adjustable stem, but you'll get an idea of how upright I am in the third-person riding footage. And of course, you can tilt these handlebars a little bit more forward or perhaps further back, depending on your preference. Let's dive into the control pad on the left. So many buttons here. I'll tell you what they all do, but first let's turn it on. Power button at the top, Rad Power Bikes, and I already enabled the security. So these are RFID tags, which come only with the Radster Trail and Radster Road electric bikes. Otherwise, you can use a passcode as well. The RFID tags, though, I think is really cool. That unlocks the bike. In the top left, we have wattage going to the motor. You can see that the lights automatically turned on. I can hold the pedal assist up button and I can turn the lights off if I'd like. Battery percentage in the top middle, I actually changed that. I'll show you how to change it to remaining range in a second. Odometer in the top right, another battery capacity bar, speed front and center, pedal assist 0 all the way up to 5. Walk mode can be enabled by holding the pedal assist down button. Hitting the M button, that's this one right here, will give you additional information. Trip time, trip distance, and class level. The top two buttons are going to be those turn signals, and they do display on the screen. Keep in mind you'll want to turn the turn signal off after you've made your turn by hitting the button again. Next, I'll show you the advanced settings. You can get into that by holding the M button. First one, you can clear your trip data. Next, you can change the classification, Class 1, Class 2, or Class 3, and two options for Class 3 up to 25 miles per hour or 28. Class 1, top speed of 20 miles per hour, but that will disengage the throttle. You can change the units, range. This is where you can change it from displaying the estimated remaining range or the state of charge. Brightness, security either on or off. Turn it on if you want to use the RFID tag or the passcode. And you set the passcode right here. There's a section for the NFC tags. And finally, information. To get out of this, hold the M button. And that is the new Rad Power Bikes display. As an added bonus, under the controls is a USB-C port for charging your device. Next, we have the battery. Keyhole on the left, charger port is on the battery. This is a semi-integrated battery, very similar to the semi-integrated batteries that came on the Rad City 5 Plus. I'll put the keys in and turn it to the right. And what's nice is the battery just pops out so you can grab it. They increase the capacity. It is now a 15 amp hour battery instead of 14. It's also using their Safe Shield technology, which means this battery is resin filled and it's supposed to help prevent a fire from moving from one cell to the next. The battery is also UL 2271 certified. The entire bike electronics are UL 2849 certified. There is a capacity button on the top of the battery. And if you want even more protection for your expensive e-bike battery, might I recommend our battery bags. This is waterproof and flame resistant. And these thinner semi-integrated batteries fit really nicely into the small size. And it's also a roll top bag. So it's great for taking your battery when you're on the go. Also some Velcro straps, say you want to buy a second battery and take it with you. You also get a 2 amp charger and it comes with this handy mount so you can perhaps put this in your garage or your house and it fits the charger perfectly. So you always know where your Rad charger is. And you also get a standard toolkit. All right, to put the battery back in, this is the bottom. That's going to fit right into the frame. And I really like how easy these batteries are to put back in. Simply insert the bottom first, snap it into place, remove the key, and you're good to go. Rad has some safety reminders here, Rad Power Bikes logo on the down tube and Radster Road on the rear. 2 bottle cage bosses on the seat tube. You get plastic pedals, kickstand located towards the rear. The rear wheel has a torque arm, which helps keep the wheel in place, rear Tektro hydraulic disc brake, and the cables coming out of the bottom of the frame running along these stays. You get an included rear rack with a 55-pound capacity. There's rails here for hanging pannier bags. The cable for the rear light runs nicely along the fender. We have a Rad Power Bikes branded saddle, more of a sporty saddle. The Radster Road has a 750-watt peak motor with 100 newton meters of torque. Can't wait to test that out. And in the rear, 8 speeds, 11 to 34 teeth, and they're using a Shimano Acera derailleur, which is a step up from what we typically see. In the front, we have a 50-tooth front chainring, double-sided metal, and a really nice chain guard as well. That'll keep your pants from getting any chain grease on them. So that is all of the components, but I can't wait to test out the torque sensor on the new Radster Road. Let's get into some first-person riding footage. All right, Rad's first torque sensor electric bikes with class 3 speeds. I know the Rad Wagon 5 can get up to class 3 speeds, but that's a much heavier bike than this one. The ride on this is going to feel much more sporty. Our first test will be throttle only. I wanted to call out that in pedal assist level 0, you still have access to the throttle. And I did go into the advanced settings and change this to class 3 because, of course, everyone's going to want to know what this bike is capable of up to 28 miles per hour. I have the speedometer app by Coolnix to check our GPS speed against the Rad display, and just a note, the throttle will kick off at 20 miles per hour. That's going to be the legal limit here in the United States. Unless, of course, you turn it to class 1, then that will disable the throttle. But even set as class 3, throttle is going to top out at 20 miles per hour. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, throttle only. A good bit of takeoff. This is definitely a powerful motor. 16, 17, and there's 20 miles per hour, and it is it's bouncing around 400 or 500 watts, and I feel the motor kind of kicking on and off, holding me at the 20 mile per hour mark. And I should also call out that the seat is definitely on the firm side, so if you want something more comfortable, you might want to pick something else up. All right, let's stop and go into pedal assist level 1. Now this is a torque sensor, so what that means is the more power that I put into my legs, the motor is going to amplify it. It's more of a natural riding experience. So as we get going here, I'll pedal at a nice leisurely cadence in every pedal assist level, and then put in a little bit more effort so you can get an idea of what to expect. But first, pedal assist level 1 in first gear. All right, and I can barely feel the motor helping me just a little bit. It's only using 60, 70 watts. I could shift up though. Let's go into second or third gear. And cruising nice and easy at 10 miles an hour. Let's see if I put in a little bit more effort. And getting up to, I saw 100 watts, but not going to get much more than that. I did get up to 14 miles an hour, putting in some effort in pedal assist level 1. Let's slow down and go into pedal assist level 2. I will leave it in third gear. All right, now we're getting in around 160 or so watts. And I must say, I really like this display. Even on a bright sunny day, it's very easy for me to see it. So using about 100 watts, 14 miles an hour, very easy. Let's shift up to fourth gear. There's 15 according to the Rad display. And of course, just a little bit more power. And I saw 250, 300 watts. And already getting closer to 20 miles per hour. There's 18. It's not a ton of extra effort. Let's go into pedal assist level 3. We'll leave it in fourth gear. That's of 8, of course. Like the trigger shifters. All right, now we're using more along the lines of 150 watts. Very leisurely cadence. Still cruising around 16 miles an hour. Putting in a little bit extra effort. I need to shift up here, fifth gear. maybe even 6th gear. And we did hit 20 miles per hour. So very easy on this motor to hit 20 miles per hour. Pedal assist level 3. This is still an amount of effort that I could continue for a long period of time. And getting up to 400 watts, I saw for a second. I did see it jump to over 700 for just a second. 22 according to the Rad display. All right, so that is pedal assist level 3. All right, let's go into pedal assist level 4. We'll stay in 6th gear here. $17 miles an hour, 18, 19, approaching that 20 mile per hour mark, which is nice if you want to cruise at 20 miles per hour and not put a ton of effort in. Let's give it a little bit more. Instantly see the wattage jump, 600 watts. Going a little bit more into the wind here, 21, 22, 23 miles an hour. Okay, pedal assist level 5. Let's see what you can get just cruising. See if it has enough gears as we approach the 28 mile per hour mark. All right, so nice and easy cadence. Let me go up to 7th gear. There we go, that feels good. 24 miles an hour, very easy. Which, to be honest, is a little bit surprising for a 750 watt peak motor. 25 miles per hour without breaking a sweat. All right, let's see if we can get to 28 here. And I see it at 750 watts with that extra leg power. 28 according to the Rad display, and I feel the motor, there's 28 on the GPS as well. Let's do a brake test at this sign right here, test out these brakes. Trying carefully not to lock them up completely. But yeah, reliable stopping power from these Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. They come on so many electric bikes. All right, so that's how the bike performs on flat ground, but how does it do up our hill climb test? Let's get to it. All right, hill climb test. This is the hill that I test out all the electric bikes that I review on the channel, so you can compare and contrast. The GoPro makes it look so much smaller than it is, so put a picture as well as the specs on the screen. One thing I didn't talk about was these handlebars. I really like them. More of a unique kind of look, BMX style inspired, but really they're just more swept back handlebars, and they put you in a really nice riding position, which I personally like. Just a very comfortable cruiser. They do take a little bit more time to kind of tailor them to how you want to ride, so you got to kind of sit on the seat a little bit more and feel where you want the handlebars. It's not as obvious. All right, and the motor is pegged at 750 watts, cruising at 13 miles an hour. Now, given this is a 750 watt peak motor, we shouldn't expect a ton of power, but it's still surprisingly capable. I, of course, have tested the brand new Rad Expand 5 Plus as well as the Rad Wagon 5, and I was impressed on both of those, given that Rad is still sticking to the 750 watts of peak power. And it looks like 13 miles an hour is going to be the minimum speed, and this is a huge hill, so no problem getting up the hill. And I'll also call out that the motor is maybe slightly quieter than I'm used to. That might be the fact that the motor just isn't peaking quite as high, but on some of those extremely powerful motors, you can certainly hear it. This one feels a little bit quieter. You can still hear it, of course. And there we are at the top of the hill, but this is an electric bike after all, so I'm going to go back down the hill and we'll see how it feels with the torque sensor going up the hill. All right, hill climb test while pedaling. Now I'm going to shift all the way down into 1st gear and pedal assist level 1. Though if history is any indication, I'm likely going to just want to quickly go up into the highest pedal assist level. Because with the torque sensors, it's just so much harder to put that extra effort in to get more wattage out of the motor. And in pedal assist level 1, I'm still only getting, just shy of 100 watts. And this would be a significant effort to get up the hill. Let's go into pedal assist level 2. I did feel some relief there. We're around 250 watts, 300 watts. This would be like my workout gear, or workout pedal assist rather. Pedal assist level 2. First gear, still putting in quite a bit of effort, but a lot more doable than pedal assist level 1. Let's go into 3. Peaking closer to 400 watts. Of course, it's bouncing around, but still in first gear, 8 miles an hour. Let's go to pedal assist level 4. Didn't feel a significant difference there. Still jumping around 400 watts. If I really put a lot more power down, I can get more power out of the motor, but it's still a lot of work up this hill. So pedal assist level 5 it is. And there we go. A lot more doable. Now what I would recommend, because this bike has a throttle, if you want to just guarantee that you're getting all the power out of that motor, just twist the throttle and then go into a gear where you feel like you want to pedal, and you can still provide effort up the hill, and it just ensures that yes, you're going to get up a little bit faster, but you're also getting the full 750 watts from the motor. And I also wanted to call out, a lot of city e-bikes like this have thumb throttles. So I like that they stuck with the twist grip throttle and they still went with the trigger shifter, and I don't have any complaints with this. I think sometimes brands opt for the thumb throttles because sometimes with the trigger shifters they feel like they can get in the way here, but totally fine. Still plenty of room to twist the throttle, so I wanted to point that out. But let's get into some third-person riding footage. I will give you my concluding thoughts on the Rad Power Bikes Radster Road.
Rad Power Bikes certainly had some catching up to do, delivering features that were deal breakers for some, namely Class 3 speeds up to 28 miles per hour, and yes, finally a model with a torque sensor for a more natural riding experience. At $19.99, there are plenty of other e-bikes to consider at this price or below, but here are generally the key differences. The Safe Shield battery is unique, something that many brands weren't even thinking about, as some are still ensuring their e-bikes are UL certified. Then you have the display, which is overall just very user-friendly. One feature I appreciate is just being able to easily switch between the classes. No advanced button combo or unlabeled settings to change. But then you have the RFID tags for security. This isn't unheard of, but I think it might be the best implementation as it just works. Then you have the 2 size offerings, which allows riders all the way down to 4'11" to fit. A small but nice touch is the chain guard, and it has IPX6 weather protection, which we are seeing more brands adopt. Some are even going beyond to IPX7. Rad's accessories also allow riders to customize this e-bike to their needs. Probably most unique are the hardshell locking box and hardshell locking panniers. Looks are subjective, but I like the look of the Radster Road, and it certainly stands out. Seeing someone ride past me on this e-bike, I could easily identify it that it's either a Rad Power Bike Radster Road or a Radster Trail. The Acera derailleur, a slight step up, is a rare component to see, even on e-bikes around $2,000. Now back to just generally what you're getting here. Rad has never planted their flag as being the most powerful e-bikes around, and that's still true, but the 100 Newton meters of torque on this 750 watt motor still makes it capable. It outperformed the Rad City 5 Plus on our hill climb test. I liked seeing the minor boost to battery capacity up to 15 amp hours, and for those who are familiar with these semi-integrated batteries, it now has a self-resetting fuse. But still, please be careful and don't accidentally put your key into the charger port. These semi-integrated batteries aren't as clean of a look, but I love how easy they are to remove, and the thinner profile helps. You also get a hydraulic suspension fork from SR Suntour, and of course hydraulic disc brakes. As you'd want from any city-oriented e-bike, you get full fenders and then a rear rack and bright headlights and taillights for increased visibility, plus turn signals now. Overall, ride experience felt great. The handlebars were an excellent choice, and I found the torque sensor to give the appropriate amount of power on flat ground. Just a little tricky on huge hills, though that's why you have the right-hand twist grip throttle at the ready. The seat might be a bit firm for some, and the bottle cage boss locations on the size large might make it difficult to bring along a large water bottle. If our reviews has helped you decide that this or any other e-bike we've featured on the channel is the right one for you, check out the links in the description. Using our link is a free way for you to say thank you. I appreciate your support. Rad Power Bikes has been the brand I've been following the longest. They are still one of the largest. It's nice to be able to have an e-bike from the brand for me to recommend if you're looking for a Class 3 capable e-bike for leisurely paved path riding or commuting. Plus, I think it's well priced too. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.